Today, we're going to talk about what I learned from my VIP day with my coaches. Now, you probably saw from the episode title what I learned from my coaches who I paid $150,000. So, if you have been listening to every episode on the podcast so far, you've heard the story. Just in case this is your first episode, I just want to give you a very quick summary of how I came to be in a position where I can pay 125 or greater than six figures in coaching. I can tell you right now, it has happened over a span of 10 months. And even these last 10 months, that can feel fast, but there's so much that was going on behind the scenes in the 10 months prior to the most recent 10 months. It's very easy to look at something that has grown what feels like quickly. And the best way I can describe it is you can't have a fruit system without a root system. And so I've been building roots, and your roots are, and this is something I learned from my coaches actually, but your roots are your experience, your challenges, every bit of work and challenge that you've been through your entire life, honestly, to get to where you are. Those are your roots, and you can't have fruit without the roots. So I just wanted to share with you. Sometimes it can feel like things happen quickly, but there's so much more that I know that has happened in your life, in my life, that goes on before the fruits can be there. And I can tell you some of the things I learned from my coaches in this VIP day have changed my life. And I want to share those with you because these are small changes. Like nothing is out of this world revolutionary. It's just like simple things that are just sometimes hard to do. And so we're going to talk about that today. So let me give you a really quick snippet. So January, I'm recording this, it's October of 2024. Okay. So actually, before I share that story, let me share this with you. Today is the day that the Power of Paid Ads Summit is live. Okay. So I want you to click the link below this episode, and I want you to do everything that you can to make a way to be in that room. You may start to sell yourself on why you can't be there, and you can't coordinate childcare, and you can't get off work, or you can't coordinate. Oh my goodness. And I just want you to know being in the room could change your life, and it's changed mine. In fact, being in a room with other women who challenged me and inspired me and encouraged me is why I'm here today. And so I am so sold that it could change your life because it's changed mine. So I do want to encourage you to be in the room. And I remember that one of the things I struggled with when I started my business was being lonely and wanting feedback, wanting perspective, wanting someone else's opinion, wanting someone to honestly just tell me what to do to get where I wanted to go. And someone did that for me. And that's why I was like, I want to create an environment of women. So last year it was 200. This year it's fire capacity at 500. And who knows, 2026 may be 5,000. So I want you to get in the room because I know what's on the other side of it for you. And it is a new version of you that you have never met, and probably some new relationships and friendships and ideas and strategies, and just feeling empowered to use paid ads to become known for what you do. So I want to encourage you to click the link below and get your ticket to the Power of Paid Ad Summit. Now, as you hear me say the Power of Paid Ad Summit, you're probably like, wait, what happened to the Marketing Matters Summit? Well, that's actually one of the points of this episode because I completely changed everything. And I want to share with you why I did that, what I learned from this VIP day with my coaches. Okay, so let me go back to the story. So in January of this year, actually December of last year. So it's October 2024 as I record this video. Okay. So, or podcast, YouTube. So last November, I decided I wanted to host an event. Now, I'd never hosted an event. I didn't have much money in my business operating account, and I wanted to host an event and bring people together. So I called Laura Beth. She's now the full-time director of operations here. At the time, she was working 10 hours a week part-time, November of 23. And I was like, hey, I think I want to host an event. Are you in? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. So we booked an event. Anyway, I had about $25,000 worth of expenses before I'd even like sold a ticket. And it was all just going on my credit card. And I really believe in, so I used to not believe in debt, but now I have a different perspective on debt. I believe in debt that can pay you back. I don't believe acquiring debt for things that can't. So for example, this is just my personal choice. I would not go into debt to buy Louboutins, fancy shoes. I would go into debt and have gone into debt for investing in my business. And so I was 25,000 in the hole planning this event. And then I decided I needed coaching. So I got into a room, immersed myself, changed my life. And I was like, I need to pay for this. I need coaching. I need help. And I wanted to learn from someone who was a few steps ahead of me because I could either learn how to get there on my own or just pay them to like tell me what to do. And so that's what I chose. And there's a more detailed episode on this. So if you've not listened to it, I promise you it's worth a listen. But long story short, I didn't have the money to pay $50,000 in coaching, but that was the fee. And so I negotiated with Chase Bank, got a couple credit cards, and just went all in on myself and my business. So in January, I had a $157,000 day. So I was able to pay back the $25,000 in event expenses, the $50,000 in coaching. So I took that 157, paid off my debt of the 75. And then instead of spending that money, I just reinvested it and back into the business to actually bring Laura Beth on full time and to invest in advertising, ads, and just grow the business. So that is why we are at over 1.3, 1.4 million right now in October. And it's because we've continued to invest back into the business. So that led me to, in June of this year, invest another 6 figures into coaching. Okay, so I wanted to share with you what I learned from my coaching. So this coaching offer, it's a year of support, a year of just voice memo, Voxer access with my coaches. There's two of them. And one of the things you get is they audit my my live events that I host. They audit them, give me feedback on what I could do differently, how, my messaging. And then we get to sit down and have an entire day with them. So me and Laura Beth got to go in person with them, sit down in a room for essentially 8 hours or 7 hours, 6 hours, however long it was, and just get their feedback. And so they challenged me, and it had me questioning like 80% of everything that I said and did. Not really. Let's say 60%, if we're being honest. They were like, hey, a lot of this is so good, and a lot of this you might want to change, and here was why. And it wasn't like drastic. It was just like messaging and how I communicate what I say. So here are the three things that I learned from that VIP day with my coaches. And actually, before I share those three things, the thing that I love about these women in particular and why I'm so sold on the fact that you need someone in your life, whether that's me or someone else, just somewhere, some way, you need someone in your life who doesn't give you fluff love, but who gives you tough love. I made this up yesterday, okay? So, fluff love is when someone says something is good when it's not because they don't know how to tell you that it's not. Tough love is when someone says something isn't good when it's not good. And so my coaches, I paid them to, in a lovingly and kindly, in a loving and kind way, to give me tough love. And so the three things I learned from that session with them is number one, your words matter. What I mean by your words matter is everything you utter from your mouth or write or type. Anything that comes out of you into the world, those words matter. And I want you to actually start questioning everything you're saying, because you may think that you're saying something that everyone understands, or worse, you may be saying something that you think that you understand that you don't. Okay? So your audience, your clients, the people you work with, they're going to start repeating your messaging back to you. So making sure that every word that you say actually means what you think it means is important. So I'll give you like an example. There's this word of scheme. Okay. So scheme, when I hear scheme, I think like sneaky. Okay. Like that's the connotation it has. Like, ooh, scheming, negative, bad, sneaky. What are you scheming up over there? Right. But what's interesting is when you actually look up the definition of scheme, it says a large scale systematic plan or arrangement for attaining a particular object or putting a particular idea into effect. That's interesting. So it's actually just a large scale systematic plan to put a particular idea into effect. Wow. So do you see how that one word has a negative connotation, but a positive definition? I'm learning that that is the case for many of the things I say and do. I'm like, oh, I thought that was negative. Oh, I thought that was this. And then you actually look up I'll give you another one. It was really good. Definition of campaign. The definition of a campaign, because you probably heard me on this podcast say campaign, campaign, campaign. And you're like, some of you who work with me, you're like, you for sure know what a campaign is. Others of you are like, wait, what? What actually is a campaign? What is an ad? What does an ad campaign mean? Well, if you look up the definition of campaign, it's an organized course of action to achieve a goal. If that isn't the most perfect definition. So that's an example where I'm like, oh, campaign means exactly what I thought it would, if not better. That no wonder they call it a Google ad campaign, a meta ad campaign. So I think it's so important for you to like question your words and look up your words and make your dictionary your best friend. You think Chat GPT is your BFF? I'm telling you, old school dictionary is the place to go. So when you're naming your offers, when you are writing, putting headlines in your emails, when you're posting on Instagram, what I'm asking you to do is to just be considerate of the words that you use. Be considerate of not over like talking too much. I mean, that's another piece of feedback that I got from my VIP day. My coach told me, she was like, Ashley, just because you repeat something twice doesn't make it more powerful or doesn't like sell me on it any differently. She's like, where there's power, in being able to speak concisely. So that's something I'm working on. And the thing is, you and me, there's something every single day that we can improve. And if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. So this is something where it's like, wow, I have paid a, chunk of money. I was going to say a lot of money, but that's all perspective at this point. I paid a chunk of money to get perspective. And that perspective is invaluable because it actually speeds up the time of you having to figure that out on yourself. You know, it's really nice to actually pay someone to actually put focused attention on you to say, hey, have you thought about this, this, and this, and this? Just one thought in 1 year of coaching. Just one of the things they've taught me over the last year was worth the price. And actually, whether you work with me, like I said, or anybody else, I want you to actually anticipate value, to look for the good in everything someone says. Because if you are negative Nancy, if the world is happening to you and you want someone to save you and you want someone to fix all your problems, you are not going to get where you want to go in life, period. Just period. That's all there is to it. I went into this VIP day anticipating value. Now you might be thinking, were you anticipating 125 or $150,000 in a day? Honestly, what I knew is I was going to walk out of that room with value that could pay me back for the rest of my life. If anything, as the woman who is able to confidently pay 6 figures for someone's value. That alone, I have now trained myself through actions that I am someone who charges her value and pays other people for the value that they bring. Simply paying that money changed me alone. Can you imagine? Less than a year ago, I cried and was so scared to tell my husband that I paid $3,900 for something. Fast forward, I'm like, here's $125,000, no problem. What? That's crazy. It's an abundance mindset. It's anticipating value. It's expecting that good things are going to come. It's not wallowing and drowning and pity partying and negativing. That's not even a word. And oh my gosh, if I pay this, it better come back to me. It better be instant. Let me look for the net. That is just not how I am. And so if you're listening to this podcast, I imagine you too would love to hit your goals quickly, to change the world, to be known for what you do as the go-to, the best. And you have to believe in yourself that that's you. And you have to be willing to put yourself in rooms with other people that believe that that's true. And you also have to be willing to get uncomfortable and to put your money in and to say, you know what? I pay for value and I charge my value, period. And so just being in that room changed me alone. Okay. And so that's just a mindset thing. And it's not something you can zap yourself into. It's a habit. It is a habit and it can start today. You can right now say, you know what, for the rest of my life, instead of me seeing a price tag on something and saying, this is a lot of money, this is a little bit of money, that is expensive, this is not, it's all relative. Those are stories you make up. I have decided that no matter what I pay, the price is a reflection of value, and that's it. It's not what can I get, what can I get, what can I get? It's who will I become on the other side of this? And what is the potential value of this thing? So those are my thoughts about money, and I'm sharing them with you today, even though that was not necessarily, I guess it's all tied to this VIP day and what I've learned. Um, but it's just an important thing for you to consider is how you talk to yourself about money. Because when you believe that money is abundant and you believe that money is a reflection of value, and when you look at a price as something and only think about what is the value on the other side, then it could change you. It's really changed me. All right, so words matter. And actually, what I just said kind of ties to this point of words matter. Expensive, relative, a lot of money, relative. You get to make that up. Like I'm having to recondition my brain on money and how I communicate about it and how I feel about it. And so words matter, every single word. And I just want you to think about like the name of your price offer, how you communicate, all that. All right, number 2 is understate, don't overstate. I want you to be careful to say, like, this is the best shirt you'll ever wear. This coaching program is absolutely the best coaching program out there. Our real estate agency, we are absolutely the best, and all of our customers say that in the first month, we always sell their home fast. Those always and nevers and just extravagant language, you got to be really careful because you know what it can actually do? It can build distrust. Okay. Because you don't want to say, all my clients in the first 2 weeks, they lose weight. You don't want to say that. You want to say, so often I see clients beginning to see results starting at just 2 weeks. Do you see how that's different? And in my experience, here's where my overstatement came. So my coach was like, "Hey, sometimes marketing can kind of be an overstatement." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, because of words, marketing, the definition of marketing is to promote a product or service. And so that's what I encourage you to do is to market your business, promote your product or service. Well, marketing can also be going to a 5K and putting up a tent and having like branded cups that you give out. That's marketing. That's promotion. That's promoting your product or service. Marketing can also be the piece of direct mail that I received in my mailbox today that I threw in the trash. That's also marketing. Marketing can be a Super Bowl ad. Marketing can be a Times Square billboard. Marketing can be putting your logo on the side of a car or a truck or a tractor trailer. That's all marketing. And although I've worked directly with the CMOs of Fortune 500 companies. And in my mastermind, what I call the service I provide is your CMO on the go, your chief marketing officer on the go. Marketing is absolutely something I am good at. And I can, if I don't know how to set up that Times Square ad, if I don't know how to put that radio ad in there, I know how to find the sources to get you there. And I know like what piece of your marketing machine that kind of ties to. I'm like, oh, well, this would be an awareness play. Like, okay, the strategy part, that's where marketing comes into play. The implementation part of what am I best at implementing and teaching you how to actually step by step implement to a T that I could do in my sleep or do in a headstand or with babies on my hip at 3 a.m. Paid ads. So that's where she was like, sometimes it's an overstatement. I'm like, you're not wrong. And so it's hard because I mean, this podcast is called the Marketing Matters Podcast. Everything's marketing matters. This workbook, if you can't see on YouTube, marketing matters at all. And marketing does matter. You have to promote your product or service. And what I really teach as my highest level expertise is paid ads. Paid ads on Google and YouTube and TikTok and Meta. Meta is Instagram and Facebook. If there's a paid ad, I'm your girl. And so that's why we're starting to lean into a little bit more of the paid ads side. And it's not like I'm burning marketing to the ground, but the event that I shared with you that I hosted earlier this year, the Marketing Matters Summit that I'm also hosting in January is not the Marketing Matters Summit. It's the Power of Paid Ads Summit. Because paid ads is what I do. And there's so many ways. Like, I want you to feel empowered when you leave that room. I want you to see the power of ads through some of the stories, through some of the strategies you'll learn. And so that is why we were really intentional on renaming it. So your words matter, overstate, or sorry, understate, don't overstate. And here's the reason I want to share with you why I want you to understate, not overstate. When you overstate, you leave no room to delight your customers with more, because they're already expecting more from the beginning, versus being delighted with more in the end. Perfect example. I'm really good at paid ads. So the program that I offer, the training program, is about paid ads. And then to your delight, there's other elements of marketing in there. Do you see how if I call it paid ads and delight with others, you're happy, but if I call it marketing and every single thing of marketing isn't in there, you're like, wait, is this all of it? You know what I mean? So I want you to think about right now, pause the episode, pause the YouTube. I want you to actually think today. Your homework today is think about what do you really offer? And what could you delight people with? What's a bonus you could offer? What's something else or a different way you could communicate about what you have to offer that's almost like, oh, and cherry on top, fill in the blank. Okay. Last thing is be willing to be throttled, not coddled. Macy, off, she's so just clear as kind, right? She's so direct with feedback for me. And she said before, she's like, Ash, I love you, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay. And then she'll give me the feedback because she's like, hey, I care about you. And I'm going to be honest with you because I don't want to coddle you. I want to throttle you. And that is how I feel about honestly what coaching does, what getting in a room does, what having perspective does, what having feedback does, and saying, hey, I don't want to coddle you, I don't want to like protect how you feel about this. I care about like who you can become and what's possible for you on the other side, which is why that tough love is better than the fluff love. That's why I said that at the beginning, because um you wanting to be so comfortable is the thing holding you back from where you want to be. Because what I found in this year, if anything, is the more uncomfortable I get, the more challenged I am, the more I change. And I feel like it's the same for you. So just be willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable place. And so many of you have said something to me before. You say, I feel behind. I feel behind the other people in the program. I feel behind the other women in the mastermind. I feel behind the other people at the summit. Am I ready for this? I feel behind, behind, behind. I want you to think for just a moment, is that fact? Are you really behind? Or is that a story that you're telling yourself? And if it is a story that you're telling yourself, is that a helpful story? Because you get to decide what movie, what trailer is running in your brain all day, every day. When I invested the $50,000 in that mastermind, I hopped onto that group call feeling like I was the most behind in that room. I walked into the in-person event with those women feeling in March that I was the most behind in that room. It wasn't true. And also, it doesn't matter who's behind, who's in forward. What matters is you being 1% better than you were yesterday. And you spending time being intentional on your words, understating and not overstating, and being willing to get throttled and not coddled. That is what matters. And you making progress a little at a time, compare yourself to you. I know it's easier said than done, but I promise you, when you put on your blinders to everybody else, and just go in your lane and go, go, go. And you really just care about you being proud of you, you will go quicker because what you focus on, you move towards. And if you focus on what everybody else is doing, you'll start drifting over there and you'll get off track versus being like, I'm in this lane. This is where I'm going. And don't get me wrong. I've had moments on Instagram where I've had to unfollow or block or whatever because I'm like, this is not helpful. I'm feeling discouraged. I'm feeling behind. And I immediately have an action for that. I'm like, yep, that's not helpful. Not going to have that on Instagram next. I want someone to encourage me and inspire me and call me up to be the best version of me. And that is what I'm going to focus my attention on is me and people that are calling me there. Okay. So I want to invite you and call you into the room of the Power of Paid Ads Summit. So you can click the link below. I would love to see you. Otherwise, I just cannot wait to see you on the next episode.